Hey everybody, it's me again. So, I'm going to do a VR for a Drew the Vintage Legacy. And I've known about the VR for a little while, and I haven't done it because I wasn't sure how I'd do it. I do like to do VRs and contests and shoutouts because it's just fun to do. It also gives me an opportunity to kind of to look at, my stuff and to show off a little bit. And who doesn't like to show off a little bit? But I will tell you that when I look at other people's collections, I get very intimidated. Intimidated is probably not the right word. Jealous. I feel like my collection personally is certainly not up to par with what the other YouTube community is sporting in their offices and man caves. But the gist of it is you have to show a few cards for one player who was like a franchise player. It stayed with the same franchise through their entire career. It doesn't have to be a long career. It could be a short career. But one player that never changed teams and why they're significant and why did you pick that person? And I had a hard time. So what I normally do is the first thing I do is I look around my office and I think, are one of these people going to inspire me? Could I use one of these people in my office to, maybe jog my memory of somebody, or maybe use one of them? Because the people that I have, a bunch of baseballs and stuff up there. I mean, these are the athletes that I enjoy, and so I started with, looking at my walls. So I'm looking around my office for inspiration. I think, oh, Mike Young. Mike Young was one of my favorite Rangers of all time. He was just so solid. He was a great locker room guy. The young guys looked up to him. He was fun. He was solid in the field. Great bat. He was good for about 200 hits a year, or at least in my head, he was always good for about that. I used to actually keep tally marks at my desk at work, counting how many hits he got, because I was like, he's got to get 200 this year, and he usually did pretty good. But I forgot all about his very last year back in 2013 when he got traded to the Phillies, and he looked disgusting in a Phillies uniform. Then he got traded mid-year to the Dodgers, and he retired. And what he said was, when he was asked, why did you retire? Because he's clearly had time left. He said, you know what? Texas is my home. My family's in Texas. And I never thought that I would play anywhere else. And he hated it. He hated having to travel and switch teams and do all that. His family was here. And so he's like, you know what? I don't need the money. I'm done. And I respect that. He was also another guy who married his high school sweetheart and just seemed like a really good family man on top of that. He was a guy that I always respected. I'm like, oh, you know what? I get a Yogi Berra. Yogi Berra was so fun. He was one of my favorite players growing up. He was just hilarious. And there are two big problems with that. One, I don't have any Yogi Berra cards, which I'm ashamed to say because he is absolutely amazing. And two, he spent his last year with the Mets. The Mets, the METS, Mets. Yes, Yogi with the Mets. That's just weird. And they're like, oh. I'll do Mike Modano. Mike Modano played forever, but it was with the North Stars and the Dallas Stars. I think that should count. And he's by far my favorite hockey player. And I'm like, oh, no, I forgot. In like 2010 or 2011, he went to the Red Wings for his last year. It's like, oh, man, why can't you just retire? So actually, he when he left the Red Wings, he came back to Dallas for a one-day contract. And I think it was for $9,999. Whoop, that's why. And I remember thinking to myself, why doesn't anybody pay me $10,000 a day to do nothing? So I'm like, hold on. Troy Aikman. I have some Troy Aikman cards. Not overly impressive, but I have some. Aikman spent his entire career in Dallas. What'd you ask? Yeah, 3 Super Bowl rings. That is certainly an option. Speaking of Mike Young, there's a little McFarland over there. I'm like, okay, maybe maybe McFarland, maybe, I don't know. Oh, Drew Pearson, newly inducted into the Hall of Fame. I could do Drew. Drew was a Cowboy his entire career, and that would be fun. I have some fun stories about Drew. Drew's daughter and my wife went to school together, and they played volleyball together. And so when we got his autograph one day, she goes, "Ooh," she was like, "Oh, well, how's your daughter doing?" And she said the name. I don't remember the name. And he's like, "Oh, great." And then she's like, and he's like, "Hold on." And then she told him, "Ooh, I know how old you are." And he responded to her, "Well, guess what? I know how old you are too," because the daughters are the same age. Anyway, it was really funny. He got to wear his ring. He's super nice. So kudos to Drew Pearson for being awesome. And I thought, oh, okay. Jason Witten, one of my favorite Cowboys of all time, definitely could do Jason Witten. And then I thought to myself, wait. When he left his fabulous commentating career, he went and played 1 year for the dreaded Oakland Raiders. Were they in Vegas at the time? I don't remember. The Raiders. And it was interesting that he lost all his hair between his TV gig and going back to the football. But you know what? As a fellow bald guy, I'm not going to say anything about it. But so one season messed all that up. But by far, the greatest tight end ever. You can argue with me, but I don't care. Then I'm like, yeah, of course, I could do Donnie baseball. Donnie spent his entire career in New York. Easy pick. But you know what? I talk about Donnie all the time. And that is just going to get repetitive, and nobody's going to want to listen to all that. So I tried to think of somebody else.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is?
That meant something to me as a sports fan in Dallas. And I came to this man. Dirk Nowitzki. Amazing. He carried the franchise. This is a little thing I put together. I went to a bunch of the finals games the year they got a ring, and that's me. That's me with a little bit more hair when my beard wasn't quite as gray. I had a few less pounds around the midsection. And those are floor seats. That was fun. That was the finals. Not the very last game, but like the game before, or maybe the one before that. Oh, it's this game. It was game 3. So there we go. Game 3, the finals, floor seats. Yeah, I'll take it. So I think I'm gonna do Dirk because Dirk's amazing. Here's an autograph picture of Dirk. That I got TTM. That was the game I went to where he got 10,000. He hit his 10,000th point, and I had really good seats to that one too. Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about Dirk for a minute. So here's where I get to kind of the embarrassing part. I'm a huge Dirk fan, massive. Like he is the reason why I wouldn't say I fell in love with basketball, because I fell in love with basketball in like the late 80s, early 90s. Man, were those tough Pistons and Knicks teams, Chicago, Utah, the Lakers, Boston. There's so many great teams back when they were a little bit more physical than they are today. There's a little less finesse and a little more, I don't know, grit. Is that the right word? That's when I kind of fell in love with it. But basketball in Dallas had some really, really bad years. Decades. We had a few bad decades. And I remember going to the old Reunion Arena quite often because it was cheap. Because nobody ever went. Because the teams were just bad. And when Dirk came here, and Steve Nash, they really, because the Jimmy Jackson, Jamal Mashburn, Jason Kidd trifecta, it was exciting. People got excited about it, but the Mavs didn't really do anything. They were fun to watch, but you couldn't. They never made it a deep push. They certainly didn't get to the finals. So in Dallas, it's very much. If you're not winning, if you're not on top of your game, they're paying attention to the Cowboys, right? Cowboys can lose forever, and people will still love them. But the Rangers and the Mavs and the Stars, they better win. If you want people to show up, you better win. The Cowboys, they show up no matter what. It's just how it is down here. But when Dirk came and Steve and they started winning a little bit. It was a little rocky at first, but Dirk really tried hard to make Dallas his home. And, you know, when he came here, he hardly spoke any English at all. And so he had to learn the language, he had to learn the culture. And he really, through his work ethic and his personality, he really endeared himself to the city.
What?
And this city loves Dirk. And I know that they only got one national championship in his 21 years. That was more than enough. People love him. People love him. He's so kind. He's so kind. You've never heard anybody say anything negative about Dirk because he loves his fans. He's very, very personable. People are respectful to him. Like, he can go to restaurants and not get harassed, you know, terribly. He's just, if you were going to build a franchise around a superstar, I don't know that you could find one that's more humble than Dirk. I don't think he gets enough credit. People just don't think about him because he wasn't brash and he wasn't braggadocious. He was just there. He played hard. He loved his team. His team loved him. And he kept Dallas basketball pretty much relevant while he was here.
Oh, come on. I know you can hear me.
And, you know, made us a destination. I mean, Mark Cuban did an awesome job of keeping the club in the news. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But what I was going to say embarrassing is because I wasn't really collecting basketball cards. And so I just don't have a lot of Dirk cards. But how could I not pick my favorite basketball player? I had to do it. So I know I'm only supposed to pick 5 cards, but that was assuming that I had a lot of cards to show off, and I don't. So I'm going to show off a few more than 5, and that's because that's all I have, and none of them are overly impressive. They're just Dirk. Just Dirk doing Dirk.
Anybody?
And I hope that's okay with everybody. And I know I rambled a little bit, and hopefully in the editor I will make some magic. But I just think Dirk was awesome, and the fact that, and maybe a lot of you don't know that, is that Dirk, although he was paid very well, you know, it's not like he didn't make $200 million while playing basketball in Dallas. He had opportunities to leave, well-documented opportunities, including going and playing in LA with Kobe, who really wanted him.
Is what he does.
He scored 5 points in the first 3 quarters, 8 in the fourth quarter.
And he always said, no, I'll never leave Dallas. Dallas was his home. And that's awesome. That he, not only would he have left and possibly had a few more rings on his finger, he would have made more money to do it. And he would have been able to have more endorsement deals and, you know, all the things that come with being a big name in a big market. And he chose to stay in Dallas is a big market for a lot of things, but I don't think Dallas basketball is considered a large market. I think it's probably a mid-tier. But the fact that he chose to stay with the team that was so good to him is the reason why he has a street named after him, why he's got a giant statue out front of the stadium, and why he's got a jersey in the rafter. So that's it. I hope that was okay. Go Mavs. If you don't know, just put a little respect on Dirk's name. He was a hell of a basketball player. Really, really good. But more than that, he was a really good human. And that's why he's my man. So, talk to y'all later. I hope you stop by and hang out with Drew and maybe do a VR of your own. But at least go by and check out and see what he's got going. He's got really nice cards. Nicer than mine. So, but we're not comparing. We're not comparing. Yeah, we are. He's got really, really cool stuff. And I hope you check it out. And I thank you so much for your time and hang out with me for a little bit. Y'all take care. Bye.
Oh! Shut it down!